We already know that. Thanks. Why did it just shove in our faces?
What are you drinking, Garrett?
Oh, that's not me.
No, that was me. But what are you drinking?
Oh, I'm about to drink a protein shake, I guess, but not quite there.
All right. Because Manny's drinking coffee, and so am I.
Oh, I actually never had coffee. I've not even tried it.
That seems remarkable.
It's especially since like the wife worked at Starbucks for 2 years.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. I guess I'll start. This is so awkward. Today on All right. Today on the Ninja Podcast, we have Gareth of the OHL and Emmanuel Perry, and I am your host, Greg Sinclair. So is it Gareth or Garrett?
It's just Gert.
Garrett Hole.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've never heard a joke about Hole being your last name.
No, asshole.
No.
No comments like that.
Can you tell me about what you're doing on with Hockey Graphs, with Hockey Data, with any other projects you're doing right now?
Okay. So Hockey Graphs, I don't really do too much. It's just I one day was asking people if they actually care if I've blogged on things that were not the Winnipeg Jets. And both Garrick16 and Ben Wendorf were like, can we join in? And yeah, and that's Hockey Graphs. All it is I make no money. The place doesn't get like, I don't control content. All it really is just a place for a bunch of people to publish stuff that they want to get like a larger audience. And I don't like even hold exclusivity. If anyone wants to post something on their personal website and also Hockey Graphs, I'm fine with that. So it's just a location just to try to make things, kind of grow faster so that there's one locales where everyone can kind of experience, what's going on and some of the good research and development that's going out there. Definitely not even remotely all of it, but a good chunk.
Yeah, I think most of the smartest people in hockey analytics that I follow are posting there, and it's usually good quality stuff. But I often will skim the stuff there because it can get a little wordy, I guess, or
it's a bit long
intense. And I don't know. I haven't actually read anything on it that recently, but you had a post on about binning.
Not I personally, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, pet bugs.
Good
okay,
old
we'll
pet bugs.
Edit that
out. Did you say pinning?
Binning?
Tinning?
Winning.
Just win, baby.
Just win, baby.
Just bin, baby.
Just bin, baby. Perfect. Yes, binning.
Do you have any opinions on it?
Well, it won't take you long to go back in my own history and see the fact that I've done binning as well. The whole issue with binning is just that what it can do is sometimes make the results seem a little bit different than what they truly actually are. So what binning is taking something that's continuous and then pretending that it's not. The most common example is scoring chances in hockey. Yeah. People say anything that's within X range is a scoring chance. Anything outside of X range is not a scoring chance. But as we know, as you get further and further from the net, the chance there's no arbitrary line where this is good and that is bad. It's just slowly and continuously changing. And so the problem with it is when you make this arbitrary line, it kind of over accentuates the differences between what's in the line or what's before and what's after.
Right. And is that kind of how expected goals is trying to overcome that? Rather than having scoring chances within a defined range, you've got kind of weighted shots, basically. weighted
Well,
shot
Manny,
attempts.
Manny's our resident expected goals expert here relative to me. But yeah, that's the basic idea, is that anything that's regression based, because what regression really is just taking every single possible being its own bin. So you're just slowly and dramatically, it's making an infinite number of bins so that you have this continuous.
Yeah, I mean, expected goals is really just a shot quality model. Expected goals is a currency that you get from the likelihood of each shot being a goal. So the regression outputs a continuous variable, and binning would take a continuous variable and try to coerce it into categorical data, which I actually do for my like low, medium, high danger chances. I do that for two reasons. One is because a lot of people were asking for it. Like, even though I published the XG stuff and people were like happy with it, they were still like, oh, I missed the low, medium, high danger save percentage that War on Ice had. So I tried to like provide them with something that was similar. The other reason is that my XG model is all based on Fenwick, right? So if I wanted to model like expected save percentage, I had to find a way to convert Fenwick shooting percentage to regular shooting percentage. So as far as binning goes, I think it's easy to use it wrong. It's harder to use it right. But at the end of the day, if you're modeling anything, you want to validate your model and you want to test the validity of any model. And if binning makes it better, then it makes it better.
Right. What's the saying? If your metric is never surprising, it's not useful. If it's always surprising, it's probably wrong. And if it fits your preconceived notions, it's accurate. Is that how it goes?
I don't know about that last one.
Yeah, that's another thing that I observed on Twitter recently, that I'm trying not to take part in those discussions anymore because they're often just really frustrating. I think Garrett got sucked in.
I'm very susceptible to being sucked in. Yes,
you are.
Yeah, like I used to respond to all that shit, and I used to get like upset over it, and I try not to. It's hard.
The joys of me is the fact that, like, because I'm kind of am where I am now, I usually I'm just more playing along than actually being angry. It's part of it is
You're
a
not
show.
mad. It's funny to you.
I'm mad on.
I'm actually laughing right now as I mean, like the one reason I do see to respond to someone like a David Johnson or a Mike Kelly is that, like, if you didn't, then I feel like a lot of people would get false information from people that they otherwise like don't know or unreliable. So like if this information is being spread to a certain extent, like if we consider ourselves members of this community and we're trying to teach people, like, we can't let that sort of information spread without actually like correcting it.
Those people have a platform, and as much as I want to, just be like, oh yeah, just have to ignore them and then it'll go away. It's like, no.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
They're eating new Mike Kellys. They're like producing.
Who's the latest one?
Shit.
Gert Hole.
I'm trying to think. There's a few people that I'm.
Are we gonna just start like throwing shade on people here?
Well, no, I'm not. But like,
I know.
There are quite a few people that I'm whose work I'm not very fond of, but I can't really think of anyone outright.
I'm surprised that you didn't list me there.
Oh, Gareth, you come on, man. We go back.
My OHL work.
Yes.
Speaking of which, who is your favorite Hockey Graphs alumnus who is no longer with the site?
Oh, you're gonna make me choose between you and Micah? That's impossible.
Oh, I didn't realize Micah had graduated.
Yeah, he hasn't written for us.
You mean Mika?
Mika, yeah, sorry. I always call him Micah and he like looks at me.
I thought it was Macaw.
No, call him Dr. Blake McCurdy. He likes that. He very much appreciates that.
He is a doctor, eh?
A
I know, but
doctor
he
of
doesn't like to be
science.
called that.
I'm better than Macaw anyway.
Let's for the purpose of this podcast, I'll say you're my favorite after Manny Elk
After many elk?
or Mini Elk.
Did you say many elks?
Mini Elk. What is that? What is that Twitter account?
It's many
Is it?
many
Oh,
underscore.
it's,
And I happen to
okay.
know who runs it, but I won't spoil it.
Oh, really?
For anyone listening who thinks that I'm like so that I'm so wrapped up in my own bullshit that like I create a separate account to make fun of myself.
I thought it was you, but
I heard that from other people. Like
and I was like,
my girlfriend
that's-
thought that it was me.
Yeah.
I told her
and I was like, Manny, really? I'll follow and fave a couple, but
it's good. I wish I had come up with it.
Someone actually made like a mock account of myself, and I guess they got bored of it, and so they gave me the password, but I forgot the password, and still under their email. And every time I tweet out, like, "Hey, if you still follow me, reset the password so I can use it," or give it to someone else. But so the Gareth of the OHL is just sitting out there
I
in dead
remember
space.
that.
yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I really remember seeing that.
they were actually good.
There's a few good parody accounts. Feeble Math is great.
Oh, Feeble Math is amazing.
I enjoy that one. Are there any others that you can think of?
Not off the top of my head. There was one that I thought was funny for a while. That Darcy McGee, and it turns out that they're like a huge creeper.
No.
If you follow
That's
Darcy
awkward.
McGee, you should probably unfollow.
There was a good one that I thought was hilarious parody account, and then it turned out to not be a parody. Websand.
Oh shit! Shit, I forgot about him because I unfollowed and blocked him like so long ago that I totally forgot that he exists. Is he
I
still?
have him muted. He's
still like out there, still like trying to do stuff.
Websand the third.
Oh, bless him. You remember
Bless.
when, he did an interview and it came out and the title was like we talk with analytics guru Webson.
Yes.
Such bullshit, man. It made me so fucking angry.
That was Staples, was it not?
No, I don't think so. It was like
some
random person.
Because David Staples did where he was arguing against me and says, well, analytics guru Websand says differently.
Oh,
and then Dave Staples also said that I should probably, learn from hockey experts and actually track data from a game without looking at like what I actually do for a day job, which is run a data tracking company.
That's amazing.
You don't track Nielsen numbers though, do you?
I did for a little bit for fun, just to see what it'd be like, and not worth it.
Yeah. Anyway, I think Greg's second question to you after the hockey graphs and after I steered us astray was about Hockey Data, the company, and what you do there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I guess my technical position is CTO, but I kind of work as a CTO / tech director. So I kind of oversee all our projects. I think of ideas, and then I use people who are smarter than me to actually code out my ideas. That's the basics of it.
Who's the CEO and where's your funding coming from?
All of that stuff is unfortunately privy information.
Okay.
Maybe I can tell you in DMs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yo, loop me in.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So what do you do? What kind of projects are you working on right now? And have you worked with teams? And
yeah.
What can you tell me?
So I could tell you some stuff general and some stuff specific depending on contracts. For the most part, most of our contracts are lower level. So Canadian college, US college, Canadian junior, US junior, although we do have some higher pro contracts. And we're also subcontracted from another tracking company. I'm friendly. I'm not going to say no to people. So there's another tracking company where they work for NHL teams, and we're subcontracted through them. And basically, what we do is multiple things. So our biggest revenue source is probably actually working with agents and players, where we'll track games for them and kind of use that as both player development and also giving objective information. Like a lot of college and junior teams, they'll have an agent call them up and they'll be like, hey, I got this kid, he's 6'2", right hand defensive shot, he's good offensively, he can be on the power play, you should bring him to tryouts. And the other team's like, okay, well, think about it. And then they open up his elite prospects page, and then they'll call up their scout, and because these junior and NCAA teams, they don't have huge scouting departments like the NHL does, and we already even know that those scouting departments are a little bit inaccurate at times, depending on which team. And so like they hope that maybe their scouts seen this guy, and if they haven't, then they just kind of have to, take a little bit of the agent's word for being what it is, maybe call up the coach, and then look at the elite prospects page. But what we can do is we can give actual objective information. So we'll track some games, and then we can say, we'll create two different reports. One report to kind of help improve the player, and then like another report that they use to just kind of sell themselves to the team. All the same data. I don't hide data, but basically what I'll do is I'll highlight, so I'll track a whole bunch of things, and maybe let's say this kid takes a lot of shots and his locations are kind of a little iffy. So I might explain to him, notice how you score more goals here than you do there. Try to work with that. Notice how when you're passing from here to guys there, you're getting more assists, stuff like that. Just kind of show them. A lot of the times I'm telling kids things that they already know, but to see it for themselves, it just kind of adds that level of concrete to it. That's the biggest thing we do. But we also work for some teams where track information, and depending on the team, some teams we just give them raw data and they do with it as they please. Other teams actually build reports and make some suggestions and stuff like that. One of the teams that we've been working for a while that we're actually allowed to publicly state is St. Mary's University and CIS, and they're a fun team to try to give advice to, because they're going through the playoffs, sometimes dressing 11 to 12 players in total because of the fact of they had so many injuries, and there's not really a farm team system that they can call up from.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
In your experience, like when you talk to players and you generate these reports and you sort of go over it with them, in your experience, do you find that younger players are more receptive to that sort of information?
It kind of varies. I had actually, so there's one player agency that I was working for, and one of their agents was an ex-NHLer, and he was like, gosh, I wish I had this kind of stuff when I was playing in the NHL. And it was kind of funny because the guy was like a very prototypical, hard-nosed fourth liner, kind of grind guy. And he was talking about how he wished he had these analytics growing up. So
you would have called it crap.
the agreement, the agreement I've seen is a lot of different levels. It kind of varies, but I do think that the younger people are, because of the fact that they're growing up hearing about it. There's a couple of WHL kids who are there what's my Corsi and stuff like that. And meanwhile, the AHL guys, you have to be okay, this is Corsi is shots for versus shots against and stuff like that. But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I recently finished, not recently, some time ago, finished a contract with a OHL team. I made them a web page. They hired some people to track games. They would track Corsi, and coaches track scoring chances and zone entries, exits, defended zone entries, and so I made them the web page and the database so they could upload it and would process it and then have a report for it. So it's cool to see the junior OHL, CHL teams starting to use analytics and Yeah, it's cool stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of acceptance, especially in the lower levels, because, well, I mean, even in the higher levels, you're starting to see more and more acceptance than we did before. I mean, still, the only difference with the NHL is the NHL, they're a lot more private and secret about it.
Mhm.
Junior teams tend to be a little bit more open about the fact that they do that stuff. Like recently, we had the Vancouver Hockey Analytics Conference, and we had one of the guys who's part of the Kelowna Rockets analytics departments, and he was like going over some stuff and telling some good stories about a stat that they made up called shits.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that.
What's
Yeah.
that stat?
It's shots and hits combined. It was literally like not because of the stat was meaningful. It was just because they wanted to get the kids into stats and whatever, or not get them into stats, but kind of like just be like, you know, get them to work more and get more going on. So they started tracking shots and hits within the first couple of minutes of the game, and they called it shits. And so like, and they would print out the report of shits to all the players. So all the players were trying to get the best shits.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I guess if you want to get a kid's attention, you need to start talking about shit, and then they'll buy it.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the story.
Apparently, was it Tyson Bailey or who was it? Maybe I'm trying to remember which player it was, but I can't remember. But they like made up some kind of like plan or whatever in the intermission, and some face-off plan or whatever, and it worked out. And the player that scored just like ran by the bench and went, "Yeah, analytics."
Awesome.
That's dope.
So what's everyone doing tonight?
Well, I already did my squats, so I don't know. Just get some work done.
Is this a full-time job for you?
As of next week.
Okay.
I officially moved to full-time as of next week. So I was kind of splitting between there and some work that I do for a local hospital.
Okay.
Working with their scheduling department, trying to like do stuff like, you know, predicting how many people would be entering the emergency department and stuff like that.
I thought you were a bartender.
Oh, I was a bartender through university, and I quit 3 years ago, but I still do like the odd shift just for fun. It was always more for a social thing because so I moved to Vancouver for school at UBC, and not to slam on UBC, but I didn't find at least my department because I was analytical chemistry and biostatistics, and that's like, I don't know, it's a lot of biochem kids will also take the same courses, and those kids are all trying to go to a med school because it's a Canadian medicine school, UBC, and so everyone's against each other, so it's not a very friendly atmosphere in my personal opinion. And then working at the hospital is a cubicle, so I just didn't get much social experience. So I was like, I'll just apply to every single bar for any position possible so I could just, you know, work one shift a week and have some fun. I ended up having a lot of fun, so I still do the odd shift here and there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So is Hockey Data hiring?
Yes, but right now I'm keeping everything local, and it's all like entry level. It's just data processors. So
yeah,
we do a lot of manual tracking using some apps that we've developed, and I like to keep so like not to give away too many trade secrets, but basically we have a system so that everything is confirmed, and anything that's not confirmed ends up having a third party look at it. So we have two people who are going over it, and if there's a conflict, then we have a third party because data quality is important.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need people to be there. So they're actually working in teams in an office locally. So, but I'm sure that as we expand and whatnot, I do have some ideas for stuff, and I do have some people in mind for when we expand for different roles.
Right on.
Yeah.
Talk about the Jets.
Yeah, we can talk about the Jets.
They're doing great.
Nope.
What's the deal with the Jets? Like they have great players,
Yeah,
according to most stats, but they don't win the games. So this means analytics is wrong.
Basically. So there's this stuff that's not 5-on-5 that's kind of important. And the
I haven't heard that.
And
I thought 5-on-5 was the most important.
And the Jets suck at it.
Okay.
So everything that's not like your typical stuff is just bad. They have I haven't checked very, very recently, so some of the stuff could slide a little bit, but I mean they've gone from being the worst penalty differential team to being just not the worst, but still not good. And so that's bad if you're a good 5-on-5 team and a bad everything else. Then on top of it, they also they have terrible power play despite having good talented players. So you can figure out what that means. And bad penalty kill and goaltending has been struggling.
Mm-hmm. So fire Maurice, get a new GM, get a new goalie.
Yeah, I'm always like, I'm scared to always say fire any person to management, because the one thing we have to keep in mind is, what is the alternative choice? And the truth is most coaches, in my personal opinion, are probably fairly similar to each other in overall impact. They might have like different strengths and weaknesses, but there's not too many people who are in the tails that are extremely good or extremely terrible. I don't know. Like, this is totally hypothetical. I don't actually have anything to back me up on this, but yeah. So, firing Maurice and replacing him, how much will that actually change anything? Will it hurt some areas? Will it help other areas? I don't know. It's a tough call.
No, I agree with what you said. Like, I think this whole idea that the grass is always greener, like, it is not necessarily true. And like almost across the board, like every team's fan base has issues with their coach, right? Like even Babcock in Toronto, like people will disagree with his personnel decisions, for instance. Like,
yeah,
you're never gonna have a perfect coach, and
well, one of the problems is the fact that there's a lot that goes on to coaching, lots of different areas, and because there's lots of different areas, it plays to different strengths and weaknesses. So, like there's like, systems work, there's teaching, there's like making the team cohesive, there's being able to like stay cool under pressure, there's like personnel decisions, and like there's a lot of this stuff that we can't really know about. A lot of it we're just guessing.
Yeah.
Like there's a very large intangible effect of coaches, and the only things that we can really see is like the player personnel choices, and we can all fight over the low-hanging fruit, but it's difficult to tell for everything else.
Yeah, like an NHL coach definitely knows more about coaching and lineup decisions than I do. Like, you can't just put the guys with the best points per 60 together and hope that you win games. Maybe you will, but there's probably a reason that guy you don't like is on the fourth line or the second line, right?
I don't think that coaches should have any say in roster construction, which includes scratching players and personnel decisions. I think that plays to a completely different skill set, like Gareth said. I think, and that means that like a coach like Babcock can do his thing and teach his system and get the most out of his players, without making these decisions to like play Polak on the second line or like scratch. I don't know, what has Babcock done that's been like playing
the whole Corrado thing and that center that Arizona got.
The Smith.
Ben Smith. And then I was thinking of
Ben Smith and Josh Levo.
Yeah,
has been a scratch, right? Like I don't see why Babcock or any coach should be in charge of that. Like I don't see it as a coaching thing.
Yeah, I've kind of mentioned this before. I've gone, I think, both on the Leafs Geeks podcast and also Dimitri's PDO podcast, and there's a lot of different skill sets to coaching, and we're expecting them to be good at everything, but that's not going to be the case because there are different aspects of the game. And the reason why we, put coaches in these positions is not because of their ability to figure out which players are best, but their ability to get the most out of certain players.
Mhm.
And so, honestly, in my personal opinion, I think it would be more conductive to do something like that, like as Manny was saying. And then, of course, sometimes we'll get fight back being like, well, these coaches win. How can you say that you know this area better than them? And I'm like, no, the coaches are better coaches than me because of most areas of the game. However, it's not likely that coaches are going to be better at every single aspect and skill set. And so, like this little term that I always use is called, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And so like the coaches win because the coaches who win, like Mike Babcock, win because of the areas that he's strong in. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have his own weaknesses or his own biases.
Right. That was like the scene in the Brad Pitt movie Moneyball, where the GM, or where the his character was trying to get him to play the one guy at first, but he wouldn't, so he ended up trading him or something like that. This is probably fictional account.
They made a Moneyball movie. I'm kidding, Greg.
Okay.
Sorry, my cat's attacking my feet, trying to get my attention.
Well, give her attention.
Manny, where's your cats?
Lester is having a drink of water, and I don't see Larry.
Chewy's in his bed having a nap.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's that.
Larry's stretching.
Play by play.
Yeah, if we were at this point in the podcast, is it worth continuing, or should I just keep describing them?
Let's see. Where do you see your hockey data going in the next 2-3 years?
Well, hopefully positively. There's a potential chance that I may or may not be announcing two decent contracts in the next little while. So that should be good. I mean, we started off very small, but we're growing quite fast. So hopefully the growth keeps up, and hopefully we can keep up with the growth.
Nice. Final question, both of you. Did the Leafs make the playoffs?
Yes.
Yes.
Pauses.
I'm really scared that Tampa's gonna do something.
I mean, I have no idea what the standings are like, so I'm just guessing, but they're supposed to be actually good, and they've had a pretty good season so far. So
yeah, I think last time I looked, Dr. Blake McCurdy had something around 25% for Tampa. So I mean, 1 in 4 chance. It's possible. It's possible they miss, but is it probable?
I think not.
And now they are cursed. Now that we've said that,
I'm still scared.
It was 4-1 odds, and then.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Oh dear.
I'm sorry.
I'm bringing back all that memories. Okay, guys.
I killed it.
I'm gonna go cry in my room for a bit.
I killed Greg.
all right, just win, baby.
Just win.
Just win, baby. Later.
Peace.
Bye-bye.